Hey, what's going on, guys? Greater Goals Lifestyle. Today we are in the beautiful city, New York City. It's All Star Weekend, Fashion Week. So it's only right that we are here in the Empire State Building. Next to me, I have the man that a lot of you know as the founder of Fubu, Carl Brown. How are you doing?
How you doing?
Good. So what's going on? It's been a long journey for you since we first met you and Fubu and everything that you started. And yeah, here you are now.
Here we are now.
But still very successful, as I'm hearing.
25 years later, we just signed our new lease here in the Empire State Building for another 20 years. So I guess I'll be here till I'm 80.
And things must be going good, obviously.
Things are it's business. So we have good years, bad years, but right now things are on upswing. So we're proud about that.
Okay. Greater Goals Lifestyle being about kind of what the typical American dream represents, kind of people that, started from nothing or just having a dream, just having an idea, and then actually putting that idea into work and not stopping no matter what the struggle, no matter what the doubts or what people said. So, and I remember when you were speaking at your mother's event, you mentioned a couple of things about how you guys got started, a couple of sort of regular guys from Queens, just wanting more in life and wanting to do something with themselves. Can you just kind of tell our viewers and readers a little bit more about how that all came about?
Well, I mean, to make it short, I think you said it. You said it best. We wanted more. We wanted better for ourselves. Just didn't have any way or knowledge to get there. School wasn't. We felt it wasn't an option because we didn't have the money. I didn't know scholarships were coming my way. So we really had to just use our imagination and figure out what can we use that we have access to, and Fubu, came about from these shirts, these hats that we started to make, and things that were inexpensive for the most part. And we put our money together, started making these hats and these shirts, and just really using all the avenues that we had available to us in Hollis, Queens, which happened to be a lot of access to a lot of people because a lot of people came up from Hollis, Queens that are successful in the music industry, and the music industry really launched our clothing line.
And then I know you mentioned that you were really not in a designing or fashion background. So how did that even happen?
No, I'm not. I'm not a fashion guy whatsoever. I'm jeans and sneakers. Always been. I mean, I can wear a suit pretty good. I try, but that's one of the things that I tell people. You don't have to know everything. The best teams are made up with people with different talents. And fashion wasn't my talent, but fashion was Jay's talent. My partner Jay, he went to FIT, and things that he didn't know, he would ask his professors and get the answers for us when it came to fashion. And from there, when I was more into marketing, I was more into sales in the beginning, and that's what my talent was: getting to the stores, getting the stuff on the shelves. So we kind of all put our talents together, not trying to be Jay. Jay's not trying to be me, but we utilizing each other, and that's what really made us successful.
And one of the favorite parts of your story when you were doing the speech was you were literally saying I think you had to buy diapers or something for your baby back then, and you had like only a certain amount of money. And one of your partners was like, "Well, we need to get these hats done," and you literally ended up spending the diaper money on the hats. So, would you say that is one of the trades that a successful entrepreneur needs to be just have guts and sometimes just it takes just courage and saying I'm going to risk it all.
It definitely takes a lot of what you said, guts. Yeah, you got to have a stomach for it, and it doesn't get easier. People think maybe it gets easier as business gets better, but it doesn't. You got to have a stomach for getting up every day and creating something, because if you don't, the lights don't come on, the bills don't get paid. So I would say if you're not into taking chances and taking big risks and losing and failing and failing and failing, if that's if that's not your thing, then you don't want to be an entrepreneur, because that's what it is. A consistent amount of failure is going to come into play before you really succeed.
Gotcha. And what happened as far as you guys started off, people started seeing Fubu in the streets, the rappers started wearing it, but then it just took off to a whole nother level. How would you say that happened?
Well, I think the easiest part is to say that we struck a distribution deal with Samsung, their textile division, back in 1995, I want to say. But that's the easy way. But what we did was we placed our product on so many rap artists and high profile people, and not just rap artists, because there's and the way we saw it, there was high profile people. You got musicians, then you got just those regular cool cats that's in the neighborhoods that all the other kids follow. So we used to give them free clothes just as much as we gave the rap artists. So what we did was we really laid a foundation where wherever you looked on TV, music videos, or saw the rapper on stage, he or she was wearing Fubu. And that doesn't mean we was a big company at that time, but we gave our clothing so much exposure that people didn't know about it. They were going to ask about it and try to find out why is all these kids wearing this Fubu stuff. So once we got with Samsung basically took a small fire that's already lit and just poured gasoline on it. It was already ready to go. They saw the potential, and they put the muscle that we needed to get into these Macy's, to get into these Bloomingdale's, get into all these department stores, and more importantly, have the LCs, the lines of credits overseas to manufacture and distribute it.
As as a businessman, but also just as a human being that came from Queens, from a regular kind of upbringing and good upbringing, but what was that moment where you would say was like, holy shit, I made it?
Well, before football, I was working a lot of basically dead end jobs. I was grateful for them at the time, but I knew they weren't taking me anywhere. And I never been to Manhattan. Manhattan was just something. I stayed in Queens. I worked in Queens on Long Island. I had no reason to come to the city. But for me, that is, I know my partners may have different, thoughts in their head. But once we got an office here, it wasn't as big as this one, but it was a small office. But once I got my first paycheck, when I came from home, went to work, and on Fridays got a paycheck for something that I love to do, that's when I felt that, this could be really, really real life. This could be the rest of our life. You know what I mean? So that was the big aha moment for me. Obviously, you got the being a Macy's window or things of that nature. But once I saw a paycheck with my Social Security number on it, and I knew this was going to come in every other week, and I could feed my family, I thought that, things could only get better from there.
Got you. And you were also involved with some other fashion designers, is that correct?
You mean in-house here? Yeah. Oh, well, we got several brands under us right now. We have obviously Fubu. We reintroducing that to the market as we speak. We got Coogee. I mean, a lot of people know that we're behind Coogee, but some people don't. So we speak about that a lot now. And we just picked up the sneaker brand Etonic. It's started off as a golf line of sneakers. In the early '90s, it went into the streets. A lot of street kids are wearing it. Then it kind of died off. So we just bringing that brand back, and hopefully people can accept the little twist we put to it.
Without giving too much away, what are like some of the strategies you guys are using now to reintroduce the fashion in the fashion market the way it is now? And we all know fashion is ever changing. So, but what is like something people can expect?
For us, we're gonna get real aggressive in our designs, and that's how we were in the beginning with Fubu. Super high quality goods, really aggressive designs, things that's a little just out of the norm. So not everybody's gonna pick up on it, but the few people that are very fashion forward are gonna appreciate it, and then we'll bring in some more, I guess, mainstream pieces to follow. But we're gonna be real aggressive in designs and definitely fashion forward.
Definitely look forward to seeing that.
We got a good team of designers here. We got some guys that's been with us for 15, almost 20 years now. And some of their sons are actually coming under them as design junior designers. So we got a long big family here, and everybody's rooting for everybody. We're rooting for Fubu. We think it's that time. We think the kids out there appreciate what they saw, the history of Fubu, and if we give them what they want, I think they'll accept it.
Now, my question is, because I see the generation changing extremely. I'm not 20 anymore. But one thing I think is kind of awesome about kids nowadays, I call them the thrift shop generation because they're literally going to thrift shops. They have their very own unique styles. They're not afraid to buy something that's used or even go into mom's closet and just put something together. And also make it more affordable. And that's my question also. Are you guys going to offer different affordable lines, like a high-end line and like something that's on a more affordable market, like some places like Target and so on and so forth are doing?
Absolutely. I mean, we've always been that way. We've had three, four, $500 jackets, and then we have jackets that any kid can afford, and like you said, Target and Walmart, things of that nature. But you know, it's a like you say, you don't want to give away strategy, but it's a balance that you got to have as a fashion house to obviously give something that people can afford, but you also want to have something that the kid that wants to be unique and don't want to see his jacket everywhere, you got to have something for that kid too.
Absolutely. And I know you have quite a few different ventures going on. I know one of the things that you've really gotten into and are doing now is life coaching and motivational speaking. You want to tell us a little bit more about that and how you came upon doing it?
Well, I've always done it, either here in my office with partners and employees and their personal, trials and tribulations. My goal is to really touch particularly young men that were right now in the situation that I was in before I started Fubu. So it's really important to me to let them know that, you know, this is still a great country, and you really can, if you put your mind and your heart to it, start from nothing. It's not impossible. If you would have told me I would have been here 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it would have been hard for me to envision that. But the one thing that got me here was the fear, not the fear, but the belief that I can get here. You know, if you looked at my who I was at that time, just a little kid running, sneakers ran down to the ground, buying fabric to make these crazy hats, but in the back of my head, I knew that I was capable of doing more. And I
Eh,
just want kids to know that. I just think that it's my responsibility for who I am and what I've been through to share that information with anybody that will listen.
Yeah, it all comes down to giving back,
Right.
as we know, and I think it's a great thing that you're doing. And I think is it an organization, the
I started
Young and
this little
Positive
page.
Men?
I said because something. I was watching the news and it seemed like every story was something bad news, whether it be in Chicago or New York or down in South Florida, wherever it was just something bad. Or I'm looking at cops, or it seems like everywhere I turned there was bad news, especially about young black men. So I just made a Facebook page called YPM, it's called Young Positive Men, and that really got the ball rolling in my head that I need to start doing more. So I use that page as a kind of I guess a base, and just sending little messages out, and people inboxing me, and I'm answering questions for them. But I just want to take that little that little fire we started with Fubu, take that little fire and help it grow into something that we can bring around the country and really encourage young men to just be strong and just believe in themselves and just really realize that there is a way out if you truly want it.
That's my thing. If you truly want it,
Yeah, if you truly
if you
want
truly want it. I don't know, if you want to be talking about it, but obviously there's a lot of kids now, in the streets, whether it's selling drugs, doing a whole bunch of stuff they really have no business doing. But a lot of times you hear, I'm doing it because what else can I do? How else am I going to make money? And my household, my mom is a single mom. She's only making A, B, and C. I got little sisters and brothers, or I might even have my own baby on the way. You have these stories, and it's like, what could you tell these kids, like how to get out of that life but still make ends meet? Like,
Well, I can tell you from my experience because I was one of those kids. I was a kid that left my home at 16, not because I had to, because I just thought I was grown. Left my home at 16.
and mama wasn't having it, I heard.
Having it, yes, got to go. Got a mustache, you got to go. But, when I left home, I did things that I shouldn't have done. Sold drugs, ended up getting arrested, got a felony charge. So many things. I did everything the wrong way, and I had to pay for it. But when me and Damon, like I said at my mom's place, when me and Damon decided to start Fubu, I think the key element to us being successful is from the beginnings when we said there's going to be no bad blood, no bad money involved in this company. So whatever the little schemes we tried for all these years, we're not going to put any of that energy into what we're doing now. So it sounds corny to most kids that probably listen to this or hope or maybe see this, but the fact is you can get out of a situation, but you really have to want it. It's not, you're going to suffer, you're going to be ridiculed, you're going to be laughed at, but these are things you're going to have to accept and get through them, because once you do get through them, you're going to realize that all those kids and all those people that laughed and ridiculed you, most of them won't be around when you finally reach when you finally accomplish your goals. So don't even worry about them. Really focus on the small, what do I call? Try not to focus on the big picture. Focus on little accomplishments. Because sometimes we look at the big picture. If I came up and looked at the Empire State Building and said, "Oh man, I want to work on the 66th floor one day," you make it unattainable in your head. So you know what the big picture is, but if you can just focus and accomplish little goals on a consistent basis, before you know, you look back a couple of years later and you accomplished so much. So don't look at Rick Ross or Puff Daddy and Jay-Z and think of trying to be them. That may be what you want in the long term, but in the meantime, study what they do. Follow some of the patterns that they did to get where they at, and take short, small steps to get there. And before you know it, you'll be there.
See, this is the life coach speaking. I know because I'm going to school for it. Attainable clothes, again, attainable goals.
Attainable goals, that's it. That's do things that are obtainable. Don't try to just take over the world in a day. It's not going to happen. Then you're going to be disappointed in yourself. You're going to get discouraged. So really just take small things that you can handle. Money-wise, we started our company, like I said, diaper money. I think it was no more than $25. I invested my initial investment into the company. Damon probably invested maybe $100 or something. So there's things that you can do. You just got to really start small. We didn't say, okay, this $100 is going to take us into a $350 million company. No, we said this $100 is going to, maybe we can, buy 50 more shirts. Then at 50 shirts, maybe we can buy 1,000 shirts. So obtainable goals is like the key when it comes to that. And, and just be strong. You got to be confident in yourself and ready to go do whatever it takes to obtain what you're trying to get.
Makes a lot of sense. And I also hear you might be having a book coming out this year.
I'm actually talking to some publishers now. The book is pretty much finished, and it's basically things that I'm talking about now. The struggles I went through as a teenager, the struggles we went through in the beginning of Fubu, and some of the things that really hurt our company being successful. When you're young and you get you get success that you really wasn't expecting, you make mistakes. And I deal with some of those issues too, in the book.
Okay. Would you mind naming like one or two things? Can we have a little preview?
I mean, you like I said, like any, I guess, young basketball player or entertainer, we were similar to that. I mean, we awesome. We got some really nice checks. Things really started to go our way, and when you're young, you get a little arrogant.
Clothes, bottles, clubs, Lamborghinis.
Exactly. Yeah, you want to do those things. And one thing, LL was, he told me one thing one time, two things. I was having a conversation with LL Cool J, and I said, listen, he was at my house. I lived in Great Neck at the time, and I said, yo, I saw this before. He said, so what? I said, I had a dream like years ago that one day I wouldn't be coming to your house, you'd be coming to mine. And so we laughed about that. But he also told me in that same conversation, he said, get it out your system. I said, what do you mean? He said, whatever you're going to do, get your little car, drive, have your parties, but hurry up and get it out your system. And I can tell you not to do it, but the faster you get out your system, the faster you can get back to real business. So get it out your system. So it's nothing wrong with having fun, but like I tell my son now, who's kind of going through the same thing, get it out your system, because it's a business. And people are looking for you to get to work and be at work every day and be at work, you know, when they come in, they expect to see you, and when they leave, they expect to see you. And you can't do that partying and drinking and doing all those things. So, a lot of that's in the book. Get it out your system.
It makes a lot of sense. What's the title of the
I'll
book?
talk about the system. I know it's untitled yet. It's really untitled. I got a few thoughts in my head, but I haven't really came to a real title for the book yet.
To be announced. Maybe get it out your system.
It might be Get It Out Your System.
And now I know you said your son is obviously, how old is he now? Like in his 20s?
He's 23. Well, I had three sons, but my son Diamante, DJ Carnage, kids know him as. He's 23, and like I said, he's really getting into the entertainment business, and he's seeing a lot of success right now. And we're trying to make sure he's guided and sees things clearly, and get it out of his system.
Okay. And it's also obviously a good way to, to have a dad that has been through the whole thing, right?
Yeah, and it's fun to see him, because one thing about him is a lot of things, either by sheer nature or just by observing others like me, is that he's really mastered the art of learning from other people's mistakes. So I don't have a big issue with him with the system situation. I just want to make sure that his work ethic stays consistent, because I know it's tough on the road, and but people want you to deliver. So I want him to find some balance to make sure he doesn't give too much of himself and doesn't take care of himself. So it's a balance thing there, but that's a process.
Good question also. Obviously, since you guys were heavily involved in the hip hop industry and everything in the 90s, particularly, when so many people, yeah, exactly. When so many people talk about, the good old days and when hip hop was hip hop and so on and so forth, what can you say as someone that's, you're still in the industry, obviously, but that's like really one of the people that started it all and that really made like, hip hop and fashion come together and, what do you see how things have changed in the industry and how do you feel about how things are now compared to then?
Well, I don't see. Let me think of it this way, because see, when we were kids, hip hop was more than music. Obviously, it was dance, it was music, it was writing, it was art, and one wasn't more important than the other. We all had a love or respect for each, each category. But when they talk about the music side of it, it seemed like, at least in New York, 'cause I didn't go out to L.A. yet, but at least in New York, although there were cliques, it seemed like there was just one big family movement. If it was Bad Boy or Rockefeller or whoever was around in New York at that time, we all kind of encouraged each other and congratulated each other. It wasn't, although it was competitive, it wasn't to the point to where you wanted to see the next man fail. So it was a nice energy that was going on, and the music was, to us, it was our inspirational music. It was the music that got us up in the morning and had us dreaming. It was all the dream and all. It just had you like dreaming about, yo, I can do that, because you've seen these kids coming from your neighborhoods, whether it's Brooklyn or whatever, they doing it. The only thing that they're doing different is getting up every morning and busting their ass and really out there. And that made me see, when I met Puffy for the first time, just the energy he had. Just starting Bad Boy. We was at the Flavor in Your Ear remix video. And just the energy that was there. And he running around doing what he got to do. But it was not like, who are these guys? He's like, yo, you all right? You good? He don't know me like that. But it was always like a camaraderie. The word I'm looking for is comrades. And I don't know if that happens now. I'm not sure. There seems to be a little more cliquish these days. But that definitely gave us a lot of, it definitely helped us as a clothing line because so many people, it wasn't like, oh, you got to pay me to wear your jacket. You know, it was like, "What, you got blue, yo, as long as it match my sneakers, yo, let me get that. It was so fresh and new that it wasn't all about how much can I make, how much can you pay me. And it was like that with the music too. People would jump on records just because they liked the other artists, not because of a check. So I think now kids are more commercialized. They're more entrepreneurs. You know, I can't blame them, but it seems like it's all about. It seems to be more about the money than it is about the love of the art.
I absolutely agree. And also, that was another project that you guys probably. I can't think of another fashion designer that did that. That did the compilation album, the Fubu, when you had. That was dope. I loved it.
That was hell. But no, it is. It's, I say it again. The brand got so big. I went to Damon one day and I said, listen, I wanna start a music division. And the typical Damon is he'll say yes, just to see if you'll follow through. So I followed through. I met some of the labels. I went to all these labels. I finally landed a deal with Universal with Jean Riggins. She was the president at the time. Came back with the deal papers to the lawyers, and once he saw that I was serious about it, then things really started to take effect. And we decided to do a compilation album with with all new music, and I was able to call. I can't even name all the artists, but we called literally who's who in music. And just if they did say no, they said no because of legal issues, or they just wasn't in their schedule. But we got some great artists on there. We did some great music. Fatty Girl came from that. People still sing, right, play that song to this day, and we just had a good time. So we did go gold, which is they said it's the first for a compilation with original music, and I was proud of that. I was the president of the label. I've always loved music, and it gave me a chance to really experience something that I always wanted to experience.
It was definitely dope. And as you said before, it was all love back then. So,
Now, we had to pay them obviously, but it wasn't like we did a lot of recording at Daddy's house. And I'll be honest with you, some of the artists, for whatever reason, had problems with Puffy at the time, but it didn't stop them from going to Daddy's house. It was still a point to where people could work together. Puff didn't charge me for the studio. I think I recorded maybe at least 6 songs there. I mean, I eventually paid him, but he never asked for the money. I forgot to pay the guy, and I ended up paying him, but it wasn't like, it was just, yeah, if it's open, yeah, use it. So we stayed in there most of the time. Like I said, I did my first record with Pharrell. Pharrell did the Fatty Girl, the original Fatty Girl. He did it, and it's still out there somewhere. And for some reason, it wasn't charting well with some of our listeners, so we had the track masters come in and do a little mix to it. But the one you hear now is from track masters. But Pharrell made up the chorus, Fatty Girl. That's his. So we got to work with him. That was just crazy. That's when he was a trucker guy. We used to wear the trucker hats and everything. Now he's a different Pharrell, but that's when he was really raw. He was with Chad, and they had the Neptunes. It was really good, yeah, really good times. But
now that the hat is going for like $60,000.
yeah, he's killing it. I ain't mad at him. He's killing it. But when I met him, he was like this weird trucker guy, and I'm like, what's this guy know about hip hop? I mean, he really looks like he literally stepped off a truck. And he used to make beats with his mouth, and then take that beat and put it into the machine and come out with magic. So being able to watch professionals like that, and that's my first project. You'll see somebody like Snoop. I'm not Snoop, but LL, Ludacris, Keith Murray, and these guys are going one album together, and I'm sitting there watching them rehearse do their parts. Then L come to me, yo, you think he got me? It's a competition in there, so he's like, yeah, let me do it over. So then Ludacris hears L's part and say, all right, let me do mine over. So it's a friendly competition, and me getting to experience things like that, for my first project was amazing to me. So I've always got those memories.
Well, definitely very unique stuff that, how many people can say that.
Right.
One last question I wanted to ask you. Greater goals being the greater purpose in life and inspiring and motivating other people. What would you say after everything that you've accomplished, which for some people would be like, all right, I'm done. I'll sit back now. But what would you say at this point is still your greater goal in life that you're still trying to achieve?
Well, my greater goal will definitely have nothing to do with money. I know that for a fact. Um, um, on a personal level, my greater goal is to live a simple life. Somebody's beach somewhere, but we'll her figure that out, and really be able to give back somehow. I think I'm starting off with my experience, my experiences, because that's just a easy route to take. Hopefully that we form something that grows into something bigger, be it a all boys school or something, some kind of brick and mortar situation where kids can come to and get these experiences, not just from me, but from everyone there. But my goal is definitely to help young men and not to be driven by money.
That's an awesome goal. Awesome goal and hard to accomplish, but I think you're on your way.
Hopefully, I think so because it feels good. I mean, a lot of times these guys, well, people, not just guys but girls, say, you know, things you told me to do, you led me in the right direction, and now I graduated with this degree. Or it's just good to hear years later people come back, things that you just said off the top of your head, they took it in, applied it to their life, and they come back to you and said it worked. So that is a feeling that you can't get from money. You know what I'm saying? So I would like to just feel like that on a consistent basis.
And it goes to show you how much of a difference you can make in someone's life, even just one sentence or one conversation.
It sparks something in some kid or somebody, and you really have no idea, but that is happening. But it happens all the time.
That's right. Well, before I let you go, do you want to let people kind of know where they can find the current product or if they want to book you for any of the motivational speaking or coaching?
All right, they can go to Goldie. That's Goldie at dxumg.com for any book. They want me to come by, talk to a school, talk to the organization. I would be more than happy to. I didn't mention. I did mention. I don't know if I did mention, but we do have a hair care line, which is it's really geared to natural hair for women and body body products for men. It's called Natural Style by Fubu. You can
Is it for women of all ethnicities or is it for black women or?
it's for the product is good. I mean, obviously we're Fubu, so it's always going to be that backdrop of African American women for the most part. But with that being said, it's made with all natural products, all natural ingredients, and I do hear other women other than black women say that they love it. So, but that's just me talking. I would advise you to go to our website, order some samples, and just try it for yourself.
Gotta try it out. I'm a woman. I'll let you know.
For years we've had a wine and spirits division, partly because we've consumed so much of it, and
Now you don't have to pay the club anymore. You got your own.
now we ain't got to pay the club. So we've had a brand of cognac. A lot of people have heard of it called Seraphim. That's been out for roughly 10 years, and me and my partner just launched a brand called Erotic, which is a liqueur geared towards women, and it's basically a tropical fruit flavored vodka liqueur. So I think that's about it. But like I said, I want to make sure I leave it off on my speaking, because that's what I think is really important for me at this point, and I'm looking forward to speaking to anybody as much as possible.
Well, as I said, I've heard a lot of inspiring stuff, and I'm sure the young kids out there, particularly young men, are going to really appreciate everything that you have to say.
Thank you. And also look out for Fubu TV. We'll be available Dish Network, Verizon Fios soon, coming soon, most likely in your region soon. But look for it. Go to fubu.com, click on Fubu TV. You get some looks at some of our programming that we already have available.
And that's it. Thanks for talking to us. And we out.